Well, guys, with the craziness going on with Hamas and Israel and this war that's going on over there, we're having some craziness happen with our freaking senators and our people in the political world. Okay, they're now trying to get us to go into war with Iran. They're trying to say Lindsey Graham, especially a senator that we have over, I think in South Carolina, he's over here trying to say that we should target Iranian oil fields or refineries if they kill any of the hostages that are American. Like, guys, that is the one of the most ridiculous things that you could do right now. I mean, yes, I understand Iran funds Hamas. They do logistics for Hamas a lot. Did they have their hand in this attack? Probably. I mean, that's a safe bet to have. But is that still something that we should go to war with Iran and start World War III? No, especially when, guys, I mean, we got the Israel Hamas war going on that could start World War III. We got Ukraine Russia that could start World War III. If China decides to buck up a little bit and go try to take over Taiwan, there's another avenue. It's like we have so many different avenues for World War III to start. It's getting a little concerning, to be honest, guys. It's getting a little concerning. I don't think we've ever been this close to World War III since the 80s, since the Cold War, to be honest. I mean, it's really not something good that we have on the table right now. Okay, so that's why we need to bring this up, guys. We really need to kick out all these establishment politicians. We need to get people in here that really care about the American people and aren't just voting for their lobbyist groups and how much more money they're going to make, with all their money with Raytheon and all these other military companies that make money, billions upon billions of dollars, because we keep going into new war after new war after new war. All right, but we're going to get into it, guys. Happy Friday. Welcome to Getting to the Facts. I'm your host, Andrew Curiel, and we're going to start Friday off on a right note, get your weekend started off on a good note, and we're just going to hop right into the story, all right? So we got this first one here. This from the Daily Mail. And this is a quote from Lindsey Graham. It's time for this terror state to pay a price. Senator Lindsey Graham calls for America and Israel to bomb Iranian oil fields if U.S. hostages are killed by Hamas and blasts Iran for building up the terror group. In a Tuesday night appearance on CNN, Senator Lindsey Graham squarely placed the ultimate blame for the horrifying Hamas terror attacks against Israel on the shoulders of Iran and said it was time to make the regime pay for its actions. In an interview with Abby Phillip, the Republican senator dismissed the line coming from Joe Biden's national security team that Iran was broadly involved in the Hamas attacks, but there is no evidence that they helped plan them. This was coordinated land, sea, and air attack that had been months in the making, said Graham. There is no way in the world that this happened without Iran knowing. If you know the relationship between Iran and Hamas, that is impossible to believe. Philip asked the longtime South Carolina politician if he thinks the U.S. should target Iranian oil infrastructure if the conflict escalates, thereby becoming directly involved in the war. We are already directly involved. 14 Americans are dead tonight. To their families, I'm sorry, he responded, referring to the Americans who are confirmed victims of the barbaric Hamas attacks. Here's what I'm saying. I want to be very clear, he said. If they, Hamas, start killing those American and Israeli hostages, and if there is an attack by Hezbollah in the north, creating two fronts for Israel, what I would do is I would bomb Iran's oil infrastructure. Okay, there's a little more context. He's not saying flat out, we just need, if they kill any of the hostages, we just need to bomb Iranian oil fields. They're saying that if Hezbollah comes over and helps Hamas, so they're fighting on two different fronts. So Israel isn't just fighting the Gaza where the Gaza Strip is, but they're fighting on two fronts. Then we need to go after the Iran oil fields or oil refineries to try to get them to stop interfering with the two-sided war. Okay. It's not as crazy as it sounded when it came to the headline with basically everything. That's why the context matters so much. And that's why I love bringing up these articles with you guys so we can really go and take a look at this. But I still wouldn't even go that far. I would still be trying to tell them, look, you need to not get in the middle of this. You need to not. And if they don't, then maybe there is escalation that we can't control. But right now, we need to do everything humanly possible to not escalate this any farther past than it is. Okay. I mean, guys, this is just, it's such dangerous territory. People in the United States, we've never been in a war, especially something that would be as drastic as World War III. Okay. There's not that many Americans alive from World War II. Okay. World War III would absolutely, it would just completely disrupt the whole, I mean, the whole world, obviously, but I don't think people understand to the level that it's not like, oh, we're gonna have a couple weeks off of work. No, no, you'll be lucky if there's a job for you to go back to. Like, I mean, guys, like when people are at war, things get stupid expensive, things get scarce. Okay, when it comes to food, all the resources are going to the military. They're going to the military. Everything's going to be very finite if there's a world war. All right, so we need to get away from that as much as possible. And any politician that is going saying finish them, all this stuff, they are out of their mind and they have too much money and protection that they're not thinking about how that is really going to affect average everyday Americans. Okay? It is going to completely disrupt everything for us. Maybe not for the politicians that have the power and have the security and have the money already. But the people that still are surviving on a regular basis, having to go to work to pay the bills, to be able to just live, we're going to be the ones getting screwed if we have a world war or any type of huge war where the United States is completely involved. But if the United States gets involved completely in any war right now, I really honestly I believe it's going to start World War III. Like, we can't get into any war. We need to not even get into war anyway. We need to be worrying about the United States. We need to be worried about us. We have so many issues going on right now. Infrastructure issues, cultural issues, just, I mean, absolutely everything, guys. We need to focus on us for a little bit. Doesn't mean we just completely separate ourselves from the whole world. I'm just saying we need to be like, hey, we see what's going on. We'll support you with however we can. We just can't give you billions upon billions of dollars. We can't give you military personnel. Like, we just can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. You've been relying on the United States for way too long. All right. But we also got this here, guys. This is a little video clip. This is Breaking Points, which is one of my favorite independent news outlets that you can find on YouTube. Definitely follow Breaking Points if you can. I'm following them on my personal page as well. But we're gonna watch this little clip, and it shows Nikki Haley, who is running for president, saying that we need to finish them, talking about Iran and Hamas. That is the most just irresponsible thing to say when you're at that type of a position. So we're going to watch this and see what we got.
There has been a major war now breaking out within the GOP about how the response should be. Nikki Haley obviously taking up the neocon mantle and basically calling for war with Iran as a result of this and a complete flattening of Gaza. Here's what she had to say.
But let's step back, because I want the American people to kind of take this in for a second. Just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded. Families were murdered. Women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets. The elderly were taken. All of this has happened in front of everyone, on top of thousands of rockets that hit Israel. This should be personal for every woman and man in America. Why? Because when they did this surprise attack, when they took these hostages, when they murdered these families, they were celebrating. And what were they celebrating? They were saying death to Israel, death to America. This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America, because they hate us just as much. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends, just like we needed them on 9/11. That's why Ukraine needs us when Russia's doing this. That's why Israel needs us when Hamas and Iran are doing this. And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu: finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them. They should have hell to pay for what they've just done.
Calling for war with Hamas, calling for war with Iran, saying that this is an attack on America.
I mean, guys, it's just, for someone in her position, she's been dealing with foreign affairs for the United States for a while now. Trump had her as the ambassador for the UN. Okay, I mean, I just don't understand how you could be so hawkish on war like this. It's just absolutely insane to me. We can't be putting up with this, guys. We can't. We need to stop electing people and putting people in positions of power that are so hungry to go to war. Like, I do not condone anything that's going on when it comes to this war with Israel and Hamas. Completely do not want any part of it. Okay. Hamas is completely in the wrong. They're actually putting their own Palestinian citizens at risk of getting killed, and they absolutely don't care. They absolutely don't care. So, but when you're talking, when you're talking about going after Iran and finish them, saying finish them, you're not talking responsibly. You're not talking with any poise. Like, this is absolutely dangerous rhetoric, and we need to shut it down like immediately. Absolutely. Okay. But the thing that's crazy, guys, is it's not like these people are friendly. Hamas does not like the United States. It does not like any Western country, especially Israel. Okay. They do not like what we stand for. They want death to Israel, death to the United States, or death to America is what they say. Okay. They chant this. And we even have a former Hamas leader that is calling for a national jihad in today across the world. So again, if you have a gun, make sure you stay strapped and ready to go, guys. Okay, that's the beauty about the Second Amendment in the United States, and that's why we need to protect it, because we still have rights, unlike some people that I talk to every once in a while, where they basically say we don't have rights anymore. Well, we're about to not have any rights if we keep letting the federal government just do whatever the hell they want to do and circumvent the Constitution and circumvent our Bill of Rights. But that's for another video. But again, Second Amendment is huge, and we need to protect ourselves. So be aware of this. But we're going to watch this little video here too as well. And this is just showing that former Hamas leader calling all Muslims and people of Arab descent to for a national day of jihad and basically terrorism across the world. I don't know if it's going to happen. I hope not. I pray that it doesn't. We don't need any more of this crap going on, but it's possible. So it's good to be aware of what the hell is going on and just be cautious when you're going about your day to day. All right. But let's watch this little 2-minute clip.
A former head of the terror group Hamas designating Friday, October 13th, the day of jihad, calling on Muslims to take to the streets and deliver a message of anger.
عبر الساحات والميادين رسالة غضب أننا مع فلسطين مع غزة.
Also urging Muslims in neighboring countries like Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt to join the fight against Israel, already a major concern for the West.
We're also worried about jihadist groups like in Syria. We have the Iran-backed Shia militia groups in Iraq, and you have all sorts of jihadist groups. That is our worst nightmare.
The massacre in Israel apparently planned for 2 years. Another Hamas leader admitting in an interview with Russia TV that under the guise of providing welfare, Hamas was actually planning for warfare.
قومي في غزة وبدها دير بالها على 1.5 مليون فلسطيني وملتهية وخلص تركت المقاومة لكن حماس من تحت الطاولة.
The interview, translated by the group Memory, a Middle Eastern research institute co-founded by Israeli Americans, also included a demand members of Hamas detained in the United States be released.
We obviously take seriously our responsibilities to get Americans held overseas back with their families. We have in the past entered into negotiations to do exactly that. And we have not foreclosed any option right now in terms of these particular hostages.
These developments come as Israel has pounded Gaza for days, including at places of worship, schools, and refugee camps. Retaliation for what Hamas calls the Al-Aqsa flood operation, the brutal murder of men, women, and children in Israel. It says it carried out in response to decades of violence against and oppression of Palestinians. A vicious cycle, with no end in sight. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Well, that's great. Sorry, guys. Didn't have my mic on. Ugh, hate when that happens. But this is just why, guys, we need to be very aware of what the hell's going on. Okay? When we have former Hamas leaders coming out and saying this stuff, that is just, it's beyond concerning. But here in the United States, we're dealing with college students, okay, at Harvard, doing all this, making statements like Harvard students groups issued an anti-Israel statement, and now the CEOs want them blacklisted. I mean, I kind of understand why, but I don't agree with it. We're in the United States for a reason. We have freedom of speech. Are they going to go to jail for it? No, of course not. But could this affect them when it comes to the workplace? Yeah, it definitely can. And I mean, they're private businesses. If they don't want to hire them based on their viewpoints, I mean, it is their prerogative. But I think we need to be very, very careful. And especially because you make a statement like that, you're not married to your statements all the time. Like, people have change of opinion based on more facts, based on more context, just based on knowing the situation a lot more clear. So I think that's why it's dangerous. We need to allow people to come back from bad statements and bad decisions. Okay, there needs to be some sort of redemption. Okay, but we go listen to this. The CEOs want the students blacklisted, but some of those students have since distanced themselves from the letter. One should not be able to hide behind a corporate shield when issuing statements supporting the actions of terrorists, Ackman said in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter. If the members support the letter, the names of the signatories should be made public so their views are publicly known. The CEO of Pershing Square Capital Management said he wanted to ensure his company and others don't inadvertently hire any students belonging to Harvard groups that signed the letter. Following backlash to the statement, some of the students' groups have since withdrawn their endorsements. Multiple other business leaders, including the CEOs of Shopping Club, FabFitFun, health tech startup Easy Health, and Dove Hill Capital Management, supported the call for Ackman to name the students. I would like to know so I know never to hire these people, Jonathan Neiman, CEO of restaurant chain Sweet Green, said on X. Neither Neiman nor Ackman responded to requests for comment. Others warned that naming the students whose groups backed the statement could put the students in harm's way and did not account for difference of opinion within the student groups. I yield to no one in my revulsion at the statement apparently made on behalf of 30-plus Harvard student group, Summers said in a Wednesday afternoon post on X. But please, everybody take a deep breath. Many in these groups never saw the statement before it went out. In some cases, those approving did not understand exactly what they were approving. Summers, the former president of Harvard and the U.S. Treasury Secretary, added that probably some were naive and foolish. This is not a time where it is constructed to vilify individuals, and I am sorry that is happening. And honestly, guys, I do agree with that. We have I don't even look at 21-year-olds as adults anymore. And college students can be anywhere between 18 to 25, okay, for the most part. You have older and younger in there a little bit. But for the most part, that's what the group is. A lot of these people are not educated enough to be making a statement that strong. Like, did you guys not see that Hamas was raping civilians, kidnapping regular civilians? These are not military targets. These are not military personnel that they're kidnapping and killing. Like, how could you even be on the side of that? Even if you think that the Palestinian people in Gaza are wrongfully kept in Gaza and they're not allowed into Israel, why would you support them still when they're killing regular civilians at will? And it's actually part of their doctrine that they go after civilians because they know that it's going to trigger Israel. I mean, if one side, Israel, makes the statements that they are doing everything they can to avoid civilian casualties when they're going through this war with Hamas. Okay, they're doing everything they can. But Hamas, on the other end, sets up their logistics and sets up their military equipment in regular civilian buildings. And they do it on purpose because then it almost forces Israel to have some sort of civilian casualties, which they think will protect them. But right now, with how bad of this attack was, they're not going to care. And the good thing is Israel did issue a warning to the residents of Gaza to go to clear out a certain area of Gaza because they are coming. So they are at least warning as many civilians as possible to please get out of the way. We're going to come in and get Hamas the hell out, which I am definitely on board with that. As long as we are doing everything possible to avoid as much civilian casualties as we can, which is very, very, very hard in a very densely populated small area. All right. But yeah, it's just crazy concerning, guys, but we need to be aware of what's going on here. Make sure that we keep voting the right way. I know I say this a lot, guys, but we need to vote these establishment politicians that all they want is war. All they want is to keep the war machine keep going and that money printer keep printing. That's all they want because they are millionaires. They don't have the same problems we do. We need to vote in populists, people that care about the citizens of this country first and foremost. And that usually involves us not getting into wars when we can avoid them. All right. So I hope you guys like the topic today, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Sorry about the little mishap with my mic. I know I was on mute for a second there, but I appreciate you guys. I've been really growing this thing, and it's all thanks to you. We're at 117 subscribers. We're just going to keep gradually getting this thing better and better, all right, guys? But have a great rest of your day. Stay blessed, and I'll see you on that next video.
Yeah.